let's discuss this comparative anatomy of the man and ape through the images. Okay, I hope this image is also clear. See, what we wanted to discuss is how this, that is an ape, okay, turned into this, and what are the bodily changes that have happened. So we will be looking at the skull portion, like the changes that have happened in the skull, the teeth, okay. And second is the post-cranial changes ranging from the vertebral column, this one, this particular vertebral column, and the limbs, that is hands and legs, then this pelvic bone, and finally these feet. In this manner we are going to cover. Okay. So let's begin. सबसे first, let us look at the changes that have happened in the skull and brain. First understand, then I'll dictate the notes or I'll send you the notes. Okay. See, we need to draw some images also. There also I'll help you. Okay. First of all, the cranial part of the skull increased to the facial part. See, when we, this is the skull of the ape and this is the skull of human. See, in the skull of the ape, if we divide this into two portions, this portion is called the cranial skull, or you can call it as the brain wala portion jo hai. That is the reason why we are calling it as cranial skull. Now, this portion is called facial skull. That's where our face is present, facial skull. Now, in apes, if we see, the facial skull is more developed. You can see there are more number of bones because of the protruding jaw. मतलब ये जो lower jaw है, entire this front portion जो है, that is very much protruding. So as a result of it, there are more developments in this face. So facial skeleton or facial skull is more developed in apes than in the man. But as the time progressed, as the evolution took place, as the ecosystem is changing from forest to grasslands, there was a requirement to develop better vision at the cost of the smell. There was a requirement to develop bigger brain at the cost of the face. That is the reason why the face, the well-developed face, it got receded, and that has given rise to bigger cranial capacity, bigger brain. So as a result, what changes have happened? Let us look at them. Sabse first, see, in the apes or in case of chimpanzees, we don't find the forehead. Even if you compare the early human species, look at here, the Neanderthal man, he has lesser forehead. Forehead is not well developed. Why? Because the development of forehead happened as the brain got expanded. See, in case of modern man, if you see, there is an expansion of the brain, and this particular lobe is called frontal lobe. As the frontal lobe increased, this frontal lobe is the reason behind all articulations that we do. Articulations. So as the human's articulation increased, there was a pressure on this brain, forebrain. As a result of it, it started expanding. That is the reason why there is a well development of this forehead. You can see it now in the skull. You can see this portion is well developed now. Earlier it was not. So earlier it was receding, now it got well developed. So from that point, what we can conclude is, first, the forehead got well developed. It was receding in case of apes. It got well developed in case of modern man. This is the first change. Okay. And second thing is the prominent chin, nose, bridge, they got developed. Earlier, in case of chimpanzee and other apes, the chin is not developed because it is all about the jaw, lower jaw, that is called mandible. So ये ऐसे protrude होकर रहा था. Then as it started receding, जैसे जैसे वापस गया है, it started developing V-shaped dental arcade. मतलब जहां पर where we have teeth placed, that is called dental arcade. On top of it, there are teeth, and it started receding, and earlier it was in the shape of U and slowly it became V. As it started becoming V, so there is a development of chin. Okay, that is the second change. Similarly, look at this. The brain got expanded. Earlier, the brain was around 400 to 600 cc. Chota hai. Now, in the modern man, it has expanded up to 1450 cc. 1400 to 1450 cc, that is the average capacity of the brain. So this is another change. As the brain expanded, ultimately there has to be a compromise on the face, because I told you in the earlier class, emergence of the man, if the brain is expanding and face is also big, then there will be a very big face and skull, and that will reduce the chances of survival of the baby during the birth, because birth canal to utna hi hai. And if the bigger face is there, then it won't help the mother in the smooth passage of the baby during the labor. So for that, in order to ensure that, it has to compromise, and there is a compromise on the face by losing that extra sensation of the smell. So this is another change. Apart from that, look at the eyes. Okay, the eye sockets became, यहाँ पर if you see, the eye sockets became rectangular, and this brow ridges मतलब ये वाला portions जो हैं, they started, like earlier the brow ridges are very thick and the bony sockets are also different, but now the sockets got rectangular and the ridges started reducing. So इनको occipital ridges बोल सकते हैं. So they started protecting this eye in a well manner. So that is another change that has happened. The supraorbital ridge started reducing and providing better sockets for eyes. Okay, they started developing. So this is another change, and as a result of it, the orbits means where the eyes are placed. ठीक है, ये जो holes है, these holes are called orbits. ठीक है, if we see the skull, we will find, I think I have to make bigger. So if you see the skull here, these are called the orbits. The orbits became rectangular so that they can accommodate the eye and they can better protect the eye. This is another change that has happened. Next, one more change that has happened is, see, apes, they have quadrupedalism. That means that means they will be going on 4 legs. So as they are going on 4 legs, okay, see, the skull, the backbone is attached to the skull exactly at behind the skull, so that this position can be given more stability. But from this position to this position, when we became erect posture, when we became erect, now this foramen magnum, earlier it was placed here. Okay, foramen magnum is the portion where the skull is connected to the vertebrae, that is to the backbone. Now earlier it was placed here, but now after becoming erect, if the placement is behind, then there will be awkward position, like your head will be hanging like this. So in order to support that erect posture and to have a well balance, the foramen magnum shifted to the base of the skull. See, now if you see here, okay, I think I was going here. See, this is what I was telling. Foramen magnum from here shifted to the base. So same, if you look at it here, this is the skull, this is the skeleton, and if you look at it here, look at the position of it here exactly. I think you can see it in here, bigger one. The hole is here. Okay, let me show you here. In case of wolves and other animals, the foramen magnum is here. Okay, completely quadrupedal hai. Chimpanzee and all, same, foramen magnum is back of the skull, that is where the backbone is connecting, but still थोड़ा सा मूवमेंट है, इससे कंपेयर करेंगे तो हल्का सा मूवमेंट, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू द ह्यूमंस इट इज एग्जैक्टली सिटिंग एट द बेस ऑफ द स्कल so that this entire weight can be smoothly transferred to the entire weight can be transferred to the I think which mode I am in. Yeah, I am in correct mode. Okay, it can be transferred to the backbone and from there to the entire body. So this is how the foramen magnum or the position of the foramen magnum started changing. So this is also from here to here. This is the transition we are looking. Okay, so this is another change that have happened. Foramen magnum, earlier it was at the back of the skull. Now it has shifted to the base of the skull in order to provide better one. Then see, as the face started receding, जो 3D position पे हैं, like nose and all, they started protruding, and all of the face is in the one particular plane. Only the protruding portion is our nose bridge. That is the protruding portion. Rest of the things are in the same plane. यहाँ पर if you put a line, all of them will be on the same plane. So this is another change that has happened. Then one more thing we have discussed is sagittal crust. ठीक है, यहाँ पर मैंने mention नहीं किया था, but in the earlier classes I have mentioned about sagittal crust. What is the meaning of sagittal crust? See, earlier in animals with bigger jaws, ठीक है, where there is a prognathism. See, what is the meaning of prognathism? Prognathism means having bigger lower jaw, bigger mandible. Mandible means lower jaw, mandible. ठीक है. So as they have bigger mandible, they are extremely prognathous. Now ये बड़ा वाला chin को या बड़ा वाला mandible को hold करने के लिए they needed extra cheekbones. So these cheekbones are going and attaching to the skull here. ठीक है, ऐसे जाकर अटैच कर रहे हैं. So that's the reason why in the earlier case, जैसे यहाँ से cheek bones जाकर इसको attach करके they are trying to support this extra jaw. So that is the reason why here there got developed a small bony ridge. That small bony ridge is called sagittal crust. In the last class I have shown you what is a sagittal crust. So this is another change. Now as the prognathic jaw it receded, it no more requires the sagittal crust here to hold this. That's the reason why it got disappeared. Now if we check it on our head, there is no sagittal crust. So another change that has happened is sagittal crust disappeared. Okay, let me write disappearance of sagittal crust. ठीक है, so this is another modification or change that has happened. Next, one more thing is premaxilla and maxilla became one. What is the meaning of premaxilla? See, this portion is called maxilla and उससे थोड़ा ऊपर वाला portion is called premaxilla. In case of humans, both of them are same, only इतना portion है. But if you see in apes and all, this portion is called premaxilla and this is called maxilla, or we can commonly call it as muzzle, M-U-Z-Z-L-E. ठीक है, this is the one which was giving it extra sensation of the smell. Of course, there is olfactory limb in the brain as well, bigger one, but because of the combination of this is having sensors and the sensors will be sent to the brain. Now as the face is receding, they both became one and they became very very small here. ठीक है, इतना portion पे है. So this is another change which has happened, and obviously the brain size got increased, and with the increase in the brain there are also certain changes. Let's look at those changes. See, earlier the brain was 400 cc to 600 cc in the apes. Now that has increased enormously to 1450 cc. See, this increment in the brain we started seeing it from the times of Homo erectus very clearly. By the time of Homo erectus, the brain size were around 700 cc. From there, it went on like increasing. By the time of Neanderthals, the brain size even went up to 1750 cc. मतलब bigger than normal human beings. But the Neanderthals got extinct. So that's where we see the natural selection put a hold on the brain size. It cannot keep on increasing. Okay. The cooperation and other elements are also there. So that's the reason why ideally जितना चाहिए उतना पे fit हो गया था, and that was around 1400 to 1450. And within this also there is a very well developed or very sophisticated development in the brain. We got different lobes, different structures giving different functions. See, if we draw brain, I'm going to draw the 3D like top vision as well as the dissected vision. See, simply if we take the top vision, it will be looking like something like a walnut. Okay? If you crack open the walnut and if you take one side of the walnut, you might have eaten it. So this will be something looking like this. Okay? And here this portion, whatever that is, the front portion is there, it is called the frontal lobe. And this frontal lobe is the cause behind all the articulations that we do. Frontal lobe. Okay? And you have other lobes like parietal lobe is there. Okay, let me put it like here you have parietal lobe. Here you have the back side of the brain, and this is what we call it as cerebrum, cerebellum. Okay? Cerebellum. Medulla oblongata. ठीक है, उस पे टच होता है. Then you have temporal lobe, ठीक है, parietal lobe, and you have occipital lobe. ठीक है, ऐसे different lobes है. Lobe means section of the brain. Now these different sections of the brain, they help in different functions of it. ठीक है, from different functions of the brain. Now this is the 3D vision of the brain. Okay, and it clearly got expanded and it started giving us more articulations, speech capability. Now if you see यहाँ पर this particular ridge जो है, इन तीनों के बीच में जो ridge बन रहा है, this ridge is called Sylvian fissure. ठीक है, बाद में I'll connect it when we were discussing the chapter of language in 7th unit, Sylvian fissure. See, that Sylvian fissure can be seen from here also. If you open the skull, see where this particular portion, I don't know whether you can see it or not. I'll try to find a better view with another camera. I have ordered it. The moment we get another camera, I'll put it here and I'll show you. See here within this there are different lobes. When all these lobes are going to attach, so that will create a kind of fissure on this skull portion as well. Now sometimes when we get these fossil evidences of these extinct human beings, we get to know about their language capability through this Sylvian fissure. If there is a Sylvian fissure, there will be a ridge on the skull, and if there is a ridge, if there is a line, that indicates that somehow they have a speech capability. It may be a kind of vocalizations or some signs or some sort of communication is there. We may not know the language, but we can assure or we can simply say that this presence of Sylvian fissure ensures that those people had capability of speech. It could be simple vocalizations, but they do made some sounds. So that's what we get it from here. Similarly in the brain, if you take the cross section of the brain, see, one more point I forgot to mention, that is the olfactory bulb. See, this olfactory limb or bulb is the one which senses the smell. So in humans, it is very small. I think, sorry, this olfactory limb. In humans, it is very small, but in case of apes and other no, extinct humans also, this used to be bigger because they had extra organs like the maxilla, pre-maxilla and all, and they were getting extra sensation of the smell, and in order to process it they also needed bigger olfactory bulb. Okay, they had this olfactory bulb with a bigger size, but in case of humans it got reduced. The same can be seen. See, look at this. In case of humans, yeah, in case of humans, there is a bigger olfactory lobe which provided them extra sense of smell. But in case of humans, it became very very small. एक छोटा सा ऐसे बन गया है. So that reduced the sensing ability of smell. But at the same time, it has also increased our capacity for vision. See, the optic nerve that got developed and occipital ridge which provides better visuals like a 3D vision that got developed. Similarly, Broca's area, Vrenic area, they got developed. Both of them gave ability of speech, language and speech. That is the reason why we able to learn language and we able to speak. We able to communicate with some words. Okay. So these two areas got well developed. Then frontal lobe became very big. See, this is the cross section of the brain. Cross section of human brain. मतलब अभी जो इससे पहले जो देखा था, that is the top view, and if we cut that top view and if you take the cross section, we will get the view like this. ठीक है, frontal area, parietal area, optic nerve, visual area, Broca's and Vrenick's area, which helps in the speech and language. Now same if you check it here, these kind of specializations are not there in the ape. Yes, optic nerve is there. So compared to the humans, it is less, and humans we have a particular space and particular segment for it in order to give you better vision. ठीक है, and then बाकी जो है cerebellum यहाँ पर भी है, यहाँ पर भी है, and medulla oblongata which then connects to your backbone. All the things are same, but these are the special changes. क्या क्या है? Frontal lobe increased. Again, we are summarizing it. Second, olfactory limb reduced. It became very small. यहाँ पर it was very big. Third, there is a well development of speech area, Broca's area, Vrenick's area. Then there is well development of visual areas like optic nerve, then visual area. These got well developed. So these are the changes when we see from apes that has happened in the humans. So far what we have seen, one is the changes that have happened in the face, second is the changes that have happened in the brain. Now let us go for the dentition. What changes that have happened in the teeth? For that, let me show you this. See, if you see it in other animals, also we have the same dental formula, like there are incisors, there are canine, there are premolar and there are molar. Incisors means जो biting teeth जो सामने होता है, these are called incisors. ठीक है, 1 2 3 4. So in case of humans, if we write the dental formula, generally dental formula is written for 1/4 of entire dental arcade. That is, you can write for this particular section. So if we write within this, there are 2 incisors. Then this particular teeth is called canine. Look at the canine teeth in case of other primitive animals. This is big. Canine teeth is big. Even in case of chimpanzee, gorilla, orangutan, even in some monkeys, the canine teeth is big. I'll show you later. So canine teeth is big, but it is also 1. So there is 1 canine teeth. Then molars. ये जो portions है, these are called premolars, and then these portions are called premolars. So now we have 2 premolars and 3 molars. ठीक है. So ICPM is the dental formula, and for that in case of humans 2 1 2 3 काउंट करो, ऐड करेंगे तो this will come about to be 8. So that means in this quarter 8 teeth are there, in this quarter 8 teeth are there, and in this quarter 8 teeth are there, in this quarter 8. Altogether 32 teeth are there in humans. This is what we get to know. But this is not true in case of other animals. ठीक है. In some animals the formula may be same, a formula may differ, but there is a clear cut change in the dentition. Let us try to look at what are the changes that have happened in the dentition. सबसे first, see the canine teeth in case of chimpanzee. This is the dental arcade and teeth of the ape. In case of apes, the canine teeth is very big. It is very large. So when you have a large canine teeth, it has to be accommodated within the mouth. So for that purpose, within the mouth, there is a gap to accommodate it. For example, if you have big canine in the lower jaw, it has to be accommodated in the upper segment. So for that purpose, in the upper segment, there is a gap to accommodate it. That gap we call it as diastema. यहाँ पर आता है generally. This gap is called diastema. You can see it here. So this gap is to accommodate the lower one. And in the upper case also, if there are canine teeth, bigger ones, then they will be accommodated in the lower jaw. That's the reason why there is a huge gaps. ठीक है. So diastema is there. Second thing is the dental arcade is in the shape of the U. ठीक है. मतलब क्या है, if you are looking at the teeth of an ape or any kind of primitive animal, so the dental arcade will be in the shape of U because of its protruding jaw, and here you have the teeth, the incisors, ठीक है, and the bigger canines are very big, ठीक है, and then you have two molars, then you have premolars, then you have the molars, 3 big molar teeth. ठीक है. इस तरीके से dental formula and dental arcade is there. So U-shaped arcade, presence of diastema, and big canine. These are the 3 changes that we can see it in the primitive animals, that is apes. Plus one more thing, in the molars, ठीक है, there are primitive cusps. These molars are big, having random roots, and sometimes even you might find like more number of cusps. यहाँ पर if you look at it, there are 5 cusps. These ridges जो है ना, उसको cusp बोलते हैं. 5 cusps in case of chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans and apes. But when it comes to the humans, the cusps are clear cut, well developed. ठीक है. If you look at the teeth of the human, they are well developed with 4 cusps. ठीक है. I'm just going to draw one teeth for you so that you can notice it. Mirror में भी जाकर देख सकते हो. Generally, in case of us, wait a second. In case of humans, this kind of cusp structure is there. Maybe थोड़ा आगे पीछे हो सकता है, but you can see this kind of clear cut cusp in your molar teeth. Look at this here. 1 2 3 4 इस तरीके से cusp pattern है यहाँ पर. Same goes for here, same goes here as well. ठीक है. This is the cusp pattern on the molar teeth. ठीक है. In case of humans. So this is another thing. Then one more thing is there is a change in the dietary changes in the humans. So we started chewing more, we started taking more carbohydrate and grain based diet. So if we are eating more and more grain, we need to grind it properly. We need to chew it properly. That means when we are chewing constantly, there is a pressure on the molar teeth. That is the reason why there is a very thick coating of enamel. Enamel is a protective layer on the teeth. So its coating is thick on the human teeth. Suppose if you are taking this is the human molar teeth, then you can see thick enamel coating on humans, which is not found in case of apes, because apes are mainly either frugivores or meat lovers like carnivores. See, in both cases, you don't need intense chewing, rather you need ripping, biting, they are needed. That's the reason why big canine teeth. See, fruits वगैरह है, nuts वगैरह है, you need to bite it, crack open it. In case of meat, you need to rip it. ठीक है? So, and humans, even we also eat the meat, but we eat cooked meat. So when we cook the meat, it becomes softer. Then also you need chewing rather than ripping off, biting, and all these cutting and other. उनसे compare करेंगे तो we need more chewing. That's the reason why this another changes happen. So one thing is canine teeth receded. See, look at in humans, canine teeth got reduced. They become smaller. When the canine teeth become smaller, you don't need the space for the bigger ones. So that's the reason why this diastema got disappeared in the humans. Then one more thing, as the jaw receded, so the dental arcade become V-shaped from the U-shape. Look at this, dental arcade became V-shaped. The same can be seen it here also. Okay. And here, due to development of this V-shaped arcade, it has led to development of chin in human beings. यहाँ पर ये develop हुआ था. So this is another change. ठीक है. Next, when it comes to the cusps, they became more refined and there is a thick enamel coating. These are all the dentition changes that have happened in the human. So now let's look at them. So far we have looked at two aspects. One is in the brain, ठीक है, the brain and the skull, ठीक है, that is the facial changes and the skull changes. Second thing is the brain, expansion of the brain and specialization of different areas. Third thing is the dentition. So this covers the entire face and cranial skeleton. Now tell me, is there any doubt or any point that you could not understand? Okay, I try to show you with the images and all. Tell me if anything that is not understood, please tell me now, each and every one. Okay, Amali, Gautam. Yeah, Amali, please ask.
Nothing, sir. Everything is clear.
Everything is clear. Great. Okay. Sandeep, Soumya, Sushil. Amrish, what happened to Amrish? ओके
सर की क्लास ले रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, बढ़िया बढ़िया, ठीक है, बस कंफर्म कर देना. ठीक है, बढ़िया. चलो, सो दीज आर ऑल द चेंजेस. नाउ फेस इज डन. सो यहां तक खत्म हो गया है. सो विद इन दिस स्केलेटन दिस पोर्शन इज डन. नाउ लेट अस मूव टू, लेट मी सी इफ आई एम, हाँ, this portion is done now. Now let us go to other bodily parts where we will be looking at the vertebral column, that is this backbone, then the hands. Okay, so how the modifications have happened in these four limbs. This is called forelimb and these are called hind limbs. Legs are called hind limbs and these are called forelimbs. Okay, so what changes have happened here? Then we will move to the lower portion, that is the pelvic bone here. ठीक है, what changes have happened in the pelvic bone, then to the thigh bone which is called femur bone, then to the feet. ठीक है, we will look at changes happened in the feet. ठीक है, these are the post-cranial changes that we need to look. So let's look at those as well. सबसे first, see in the spinal cord or in the backbone, or you can call it as vertebral column, all of them are same. So what changes have happened? In case of apes, the vertebral column is straight and it's very stiff. Look at here. ठीक है, look at here. See, this is the vertebral column. This has to be stiff. Even if they said, then also there is a stiffness in this particular vertebral column, because it has to provide them stability when they are doing the quadrupedal locomotion. When they're always on the four legs, it has to provide them extra stability from here to here. Look at this. It is very straight, very straight. But in case of humans, look at it. We have almost like an S-shaped vertebral column. Look at this. That too with more flexibility. In case of humans, there are exactly four bends, okay, and it resembles S-shaped resembles मिलता है हमें, ठीक है. Further, one more thing that happened is, in case of humans, okay, ये ज़्यादा ही हो गया था. Let me draw it again. See, this is how it begins, ठीक है. Then slowly it will start expanding, and in the lower vertebrae it becomes a little bit enlarged. मतलब sideways enlarged होता है, but in the paper I have to show it. That's the reason why I'm making it bigger. ठीक है. Then there comes the sacrum area. ठीक है. And in the sacrum area, number of bones increases. ठीक है. And here you have the same number of bones, smaller bones there. And in this manner, you get four bends. One bend, let me show it here. One bend happens at this point, ठीक है. And second bend happens at this point where your this shoulder portion is attaching. Third bend happens at this point, ठीक है. And then again fourth bend happens at this point. Now look at this. Look at how it is arranged. How do we get that flexibility? See here, this bend is to attach it to the bottom of the skull. Second, this particular bend, look at it. Here also, look at this portion, the lower vertebrae. In the lower vertebrae, there is a clear-cut enlargement. ठीक है. यहाँ पर देखो, earlier the vertebral column is smaller, or you can say the width of it is less. But as it comes to this portion, the width becomes bigger. ठीक है. Enlargement in lower vertebrae. This enlargement is provided to the lower vertebrae here at the just a junction of the hip, in order to give us more stability and to pass entire body weight to the pelvic bone and from there to the feet. So it has to support entire body's weight. That's the reason why it got enlarged. Next, one more thing is, this area is called sacrum. This is called sacrum. And if you look at the sacrum area, see, this is the area we are talking about. This is part of the backbone only, sacrum. ये जो बोल रहे हैं ना, ये side view है. If you take from the front view, it will look like this. So this sacrum, look at the number of bones that are developed here. इतने सारे bones developed हैं. Why? In order to provide extra support to the base of the pelvic bone. See, the same if you see it in the apes, the number of bones in the sacrum will be less compared to the humans. Here they are more, in order to provide extra strength to the base so that it can take entire weight and balance it well and send it to the lower portions. So this is another change. So three changes. Number one, it has the bends so that it can provide us extra flexibility. Next change, the lower vertebrae got enlarged. In this image, it is showing that this is bigger, but thoda sa wrong hai ye. Rather, you should show it as this got enlarged. ये वाला portion को ज़्यादा बड़ा दिखाना होगा. Enlarged lower vertebrae. And the third thing is, the sacrum area got more bones. Sacrum. More bones in it. So these are the three changes that have happened when it is compared with the backbone of a ape. ठीक है. So this is with respect to the backbone. Now with respect to the pelvic bone, look at the pelvic bone here and here. ठीक है. In case of apes, the pelvic bone is almost in the shape of a U and it is very broad. इतना broad है ये. So this broad pelvic bone is to support that locomotion of four legs, quadrupedal locomotion. But in case of humans, it is erect posture and bipedalism, and entire body weight has to be on top of this pelvic bone. So if it is big and U-shaped, there is a chance that it may crumble. That's the reason why, first of all, it became short so that it can take more weight. Plus, it also became almost V-shaped one. Okay. So this change happened. The same I have illustrated here. In case of apes, the the pelvic bone is almost in the shape of a U and it is very broad. But in case of humans, it became short plus it became V-shaped. Plus, in case of women in the humans, in order to accommodate easy birth, because now the skull is bigger, the baby's skull is bigger, the woman has to have a bigger birth canal, bigger expansion of the birth canal in order to give the smooth birth to the baby. That is the reason why the pelvic bone became detached in female. The bone got detached. So this is one of the areas, one of the reasons why we use pelvic bone, particularly in the adult humans, we use pelvic bone to determine the gender of the skeleton. Sometimes in the crime solving, we need to find the gender of the person based on the skeleton. That's where we use the knowledge of the pelvic bone. Okay. And ossification centers and other things are there that we will cover it under forensic anthropology. So this is another change. All these developments happened in order to support this erect posture and smoothly transmit this entire body weight to the lower section. Now, cover करते करते हम कहाँ तक पहुंच गया है? This portion and to the pelvic bone. And one more thing that is left here is in the hands. See, hands also became smaller. The forelimbs became small compared to the hind limbs. Hind limbs, because they need to take more weight, so they are still long. See, in case of, let's come back here. In case of apes, look at these apes. The forelimbs are bigger. They are big, and hind limbs are small. But in case of humans, ulta hota hai. The forelimbs are small compared to the hind limbs. Okay, because they need to take more weight, jumping and other postures maybe they have to hold, and these are mainly used for holding, carrying and tool making purposes. So even if they are small, it's okay, they can manage it. So that also reduces the weight in the upper body. Okay, if your forelimbs are smaller, the upper body weight will be lesser. So this is another modification that has happened. Okay, so now we have come to this position. We have covered all the points: forelimbs, backbone, pelvic bone. Now let's go to the next portion, that is hind limbs. In hind limbs also, this particular portion, look at this. This is called femur bone. Look at this. This is the pelvic bone of chimpanzee. This is the pelvic bone of Australopithecine, who is an ancestor of human, and this is the pelvic bone of human. Next, यहाँ तक हमने cover किया था. It became short and V-shaped. Now let us go to the next portion. Okay, that is femur bone. Femur bone means thigh bone. See, thigh bone is the longest bone in the entire body. This is the biggest and longest bone generally, and strong one also. And the positioning of the femur bone. Look at this. This is not straight. In case of apes and all, the femur bone is very much straight. यहाँ पर there is no angle and it is very much straight. That is the reason why if you see in case of chimpanzees and all, because of the positioning of the femur bone, when they are walking on erect posture, they will move like this. There will be this kind of movement. But in case of humans, we don't have this kind of like jumping movements because our femur bone is set in such an angle that even if we walk, that this does that work. ठीक है, जैसे चिंपैंजी वगैरह केस में स्टिफ है, स्ट्रेट है. So when they are moving on erect posture, they do move on erect posture bipedal at some places sometimes, but when they move, they will move like this. ठीक है, you can see it in some sort of movies or some wildlife channels. But in case of humans, we don't have to jog like this because this femur bone is set in such a motion that it jumps like this. ठीक है, when the movement is happening, see when this is happening, you have this flexibility. Okay, I'm in second mode, right? You have this flexibility, so where this jumping won't happen in the body, rather this like a gear, जैसे gears में होता है ना, like that it happens, and this gives this smooth walking capability to the humans. And it is also attached at some angle, this angle. ठीक है, so femur bone has some angular attachment to the human's pelvic bone. ठीक है, look at this angle, what we are talking about, this angle. ठीक है, this is big, and this helps us in having that smooth walking, and also this helps us in transferring entire weight from the pelvic bone to the legs. So यहाँ तक आने के बाद in the knee joints and all, they also smoothly transfer, and you have more bones here. Look at this. Here there are more bones in case of legs, and these more bones and more muscle that will smoothly transfer the weight to the feet. Now look at the feet of the humans. See, this is the feet of the ape and this is the feet of the human. See, in case of human, look at this. This is called ankle bone. Look at the development in the ankle bone. Ankle bone is well developed. ठीक है, बहुत ही अच्छे से डेवलप हो रखा है. Second, look at the number of bones and the positioning of the toes, particularly this toe, which is called big toe. Look at this. In case of humans, in the feet, number one, this ankle bone is very big, well developed. Second thing is, all the toes, including the big toe, all of them are in the single plane, and the big toe is non-opposable. Non-opposable का मतलब है all of them are in the same plane, and it is not a prehensile one. In case of hand, this is prehensile, but in case of feet, the big toe is not prehensile. All of them are in the same plane, and this modification is taken in order to support that entire weight. All of them are on the same plane. But in case of chimpanzee and other apes, this is a prehensile or opposable big toe. That's the reason why they can even grasp with the help of the leg, but not humans. We can't grasp with that much of ability with our feet, but they are well developed for holding entire weight. Plus one more change that have happened is development of arches. See here and here, जैसे heel के जैसे. See, look at here. Here there is a development of one arch, and at the same time here, just at the end of these toes, there is a development of the arch. These two arches balances the weight and provides extra stability when all this body weight is coming to the feet. So this is another change that has happened in the feet. More bones and this modification in the feet, particularly the big toe. So while giving up the opposability of the big toe, we lost something, that is the ability to grasp and move and all. But at the same time, it has given us extra advantage by having erect posture. We can also take more weight when we jump, when we run, when we move. Say running is another capability of man. Okay, we outran many animals in the long run. That gave extra potential for us in hunting. Okay, that has happened because of this kind of erect posture and this feet structure. So this is another change which has happened in the feet. Then comes to the hands. See, hands, if you see both chimpanzees and humans, the hands are look at them, almost same with some modifications. In case of man, there is opposable thumb. In case of apes, there is opposing thumb. मतलब जैसे हम grasp कर सकते हैं, वैसे other apes can also grasp. But one change that has happened is with respect to the refinement with touch sensation. See, some apes also have this, but humans have well developed tactile pads. So since we have these tactile pads on our hands, palms, they provide us extra sensation of the touch, and they can be used for explorations and extra grip. Okay, that's the reason why our ability to grasp something is even better than any other mammals. The same goes for the apes as well. Okay, but only thing is, in humans the hand got more refined. There is no fur. Okay, in case of apes there is a body fur as well, and here tactile pads are well developed, there they are less developed. So these are all the changes that have happened in case of humans compared with the ape. Now tell me, all the points are clear? क्या क्या चीजें हमने डिस्कस किया था? Tell me. Oh, I was in this mode. Did you see this? The changes? Hands जो हैं, tactile pads यहाँ पर, tactile pads means palm के ऊपर जो ridges जैसे बनता है, they are called tactile pads. They are present in other apes, but not so developed like in case of humans. So this provides us extra sensation of the touch, extra grip. ठीक है, that is the reason why we are able to do a multitude of functions with our hands. ठीक है. Now tell me, all the points are clear? Any doubts here? Others? Amali, Sushil, Prem, Sandeep? Good, good. So now quickly let's revise the bodily changes, or you can say comparative anatomy of human and ape. So now all of you participate in the discussion. I'll be asking segment and you tell me. You can turn on your mic and speak. ठीक है. सबसे first we saw it in 3 segments. One is the face and the skull, then dentition, then the post bodily changes. So what changes have happened in the skull? सबसे first, the cranium capacity got increased due to expansion in the brain. Earlier it was 400 to 600 cc. Now it has increased up to 1450 cc. Very good. 1400 to 1450. Then as a result of it, forehead got developed. Earlier in case of apes, the forehead is very much receding. Okay, it was not well developed. Then as this brain got expanded, so this has happened at the cost of the face. So in case of apes, there is a well developed face for better smelling sensation because they were in the forest. In forest, the vision has less significance because there is thick canopy which doesn't give them good ability to see. Okay, even if they have good ability, that won't help them because there are like thick forest. ठीक है, हमेशा पेड़ पौधे हैं, they can't see it. So they have been given the extra sensation of the smell. With the help of the smell, they used to sense the dangers around them. But now the transition is happening to the grasslands because of climate change. So they don't need extra smell because in open areas, the air doesn't give them that ability. Okay, even if they have that ability, that cannot be utilized. There is a limitation with respect to that. That is the reason why the smell got reduced at the cost of the vision. So at the advantage of the vision. So now vision got developed. So for the good development of the vision, some changes have happened in the brain and some changes have happened in the face. One change is these orbits became rectangular, and these brow ridges became smaller and well developed for protecting the eyes. Second thing is the smelling sensation got reduced because we need to make a compromise. If you wanted to go for bigger brain and bigger face, you can't have the survival chances because such a baby can't be smoothly given birth to. That is the reason why there is a compromise. Okay. So as a result of it, face got reduced and brain got expanded, and that is the reason why smelling sensation got reduced and vision got improved. Plus, as a result of it, further changes, maxilla premaxilla reduced, so there is fusion of the maxilla and premaxilla, and this protruding nose came out. Earlier the nose was ऐसे दबा हुआ है, ठीक है, pressed. Now it got protruded, so that provides good amount of smell sensation to us. And second thing is chin development, because it is receding and dental arcade is becoming V-shaped instead of U-shaped. Okay, and jaw is also becoming smaller. Sorry. Now coming to the brain. In the brain, what happened? There is an expansion and there is a frontal lobe development. Then there are different specializations. One is pertaining to the language and speech, another one to the vision, another one is to the smell. Smell वाला जो है थोड़ा छोटा हो गया था. That is olfactory limb. ठीक है, it got smaller. So these are the changes which have happened in the face, skull and brain. Now moving on to the post body changes. सबसे first, this backbone. Here what happened? The backbone which is connecting to the skull, the foramen magnum, it got shifted to the base of the skull so that it can provide extra stability when we take the erect posture. Then comes the four bends in the backbone. These four bends help in the flexibility, plus at the same time it also helps in that smooth transition of the weight of the body to the lower portions. Okay, there is an enlargement of the backbone in the lower area, यहाँ पर lower vertebrae, and then there is more bones in the sacrum which sits at the base of the pelvic bone and it absorbs all the weight, and pelvic bone became short and V-shaped and takes all the weight and smoothly transitions through the feet via femur bone. And that's the reason why there is changes in the femur bone, and even there is a development of linear aspera. And these linear aspera जो है, this provides extra muscle attachment to it, providing extra strength to the thigh bone. And from there to the feet, and feet also got modified. Similarly, the limbs, hind limbs become longer and forelimbs become shorter. Plus in the hand as well, there are some changes like tactile pads development, and prehensile thumb तो पहले से ही था, ठीक है. So बस refinement हुआ है. Similarly, in the feet also there is a refinement. There are more ankle bones, bigger ankle bones, and the opposability of the toe, big toe, is lost and it became fixed in the front plane so that it can provide extra support to us. Okay, this is another thing. Then there is a development of arches in the feet, particularly two arches. One is at the heel, another one is at the end of your toes. Okay, these two arches provides extra support when we are taking this erect posture. So these are all the points that we need to step by step present along with these diagrams. Is that clear? Now tell me, each and every one of you.